Welcome back to Project Wilson. In the first video we introduced y'all to this project, then we took it over to our local recycling center to get it on the scale to get our baseline weight. Once we got the boat home, we started the demo process. Then in video 2 we went over almost all the parts for this boat, including wiring, lights, latches, and hydroturf. And in this video we're going to be bringing you all up to speed on how the boat looks right now. Well, sort of. After demoing everything out of the boat, it was time to start the long process of sanding, and even more sanding. I started off with 220 grit sandpaper, then moved up to 320. If I was to do this again, I would start at 120 and then move up to 220. For any of the textured aluminum areas, I used a 120 grit sanding disc on the angle grinder, then went back over everything with a 220 grit orbital sander. At this point I decided to remove the trolling motor mount and clean the area underneath it. Next I was able to start on the outside of the hull, again starting with that 220 grit sandpaper and then moving down to the 320 on the orbital sander. If you do have any decals on your boat, use some heat and a sharp razor to help remove them, and it'll allow you to keep on sanding. Once the outside was completely sanded down to 320 grit, we took the boat outside and cleaned it with a pressure washer to remove all the dirt, grime, and dust that's been building up on this boat over the years. Since the boat was already off the trailer, I decided to go ahead and start the restoration of the trailer. I sanded the trailer and the bunk mounts with 220 and then again with 320 grit, taped off any areas that did not need paint, and then got ready to put down a total of 3 coats of Ace brand Rust Stop. This entire process took a long time, but the results were incredible. While the trailer was drying, I started sealing the new bunk boards. The old bunks were rotted out, so some new 2x4s and some oil-based enamel were needed to keep these new ones sealed up. I laid out the carpet we talked about in video 2, cut it in half to a workable size, and started covering the bunks. So I tried something new here using contact cement, but it did not work well with the oil-based enamel, so carpet glue would have definitely worked better. I kept it all tight with a clamp and stapled the carpet down to stay in place. Now that the trailer is dry, we can install the bunks back onto the trailer. The trailer's done, we can focus on what we need to do before we take this boat to paint. We have about 6 holes in this boat from live welds, screws, or broken welds, so we took the boat over to Frankie at Piedmont Custom Fab to get everything welded up. Frankie is also currently building the world's fastest electric John boat, which we have already made a video on, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave it linked in the description. If you're in the Atlanta area and need welding done to your boat, make sure to go check out Frankie over at Piedmont Custom Fab. The last thing we need to do before this boat goes to paint is to attach the side rails. This is important to do before the paint because the rivet heads will show on the outside of the boat. Step 1 is to make relief cuts in the 1.5 inch angle aluminum every 2 inches or so. I'm making reference lines here to give you guys a visual, but usually I just start cutting away. But if you don't have a bandsaw to cut this with, then an angle grinder with a cutting wheel will work as well. So this piece of 1.5 inch angle is just below our reference point, which is that line underneath here for the gunnel. Just push it all the way forward. Always double check to make sure that you're on your reference point. We're gonna take our 3/16 inch drill bit. We're gonna hit that reference line that we already made. Go all the way through. I like to put one up there and then one in the back on that reference line. Okay. We're gonna get back out of the boat. Gotcha. Grab, I don't even remember what this drill bit's called, but it's for using countersink screws. In our case, countersink rivets. I'm holding the drill like parallel to the side of the boat. That's what we got. Doesn't look super great. Go ahead and do this one. This is the back hole. We're gonna go ahead and test it. We're gonna make sure that that rivet head sits flat, which it does. So that's a perfect fit right there. Push that head all the way flat. Boom. That's in. You'll see why it was important that we cut these slits in here in a second, but We got to get all the rest of these in place. They're already pre-cut, pre-lined, so this shouldn't take very long. Now that we have the one rivet in on this side and the one rivet in on that side, now we can go back in about every 3 inches. I try to put another rivet. Every single one of these are now in place, structurally sound. You can see on these front two, we did not fully hit our reference point right here. That's because you can kind of see on this side, see how it all kind of goes up? We wanted to keep the deck straight. So just something to keep in mind. So now everything is straight. And no, there is no specific method to that. You know what our reference point is. And honestly, we just kind of eyeballed it. It's the best way to go about it. Because this side of the hole does not match that side of the hole. Measurement wise, don't freak out about it. It's gonna be okay, you can eyeball some things. You can see that these are actually flat and straight. And on this other side, these, the 1.5 inch angle is pointed up. So now we need to bend these down in order to basically have a flat front deck. So I'm gonna start off in the middle, point these down just a little bit, and then just make the rest of them match. I did go back over the outside of the boat with 320 grit sandpaper to knock off any burrs or anything that may be left around from the rivets. And then it was time to take this boat off to paint. We took the boat over to ATF Hydrographics, where Chris was nice enough to spray this boat for us. The first thing we had to do was cover up and tape the areas that were not getting paint. I began wiping down the boat with naphtha, while Chris came behind me with a Scotch pad. I made one more lap around with the naphtha, and then we were ready to spray. We used 2 quarts of flat black and 1 quart of flat clear coat from One Hit Wonder paint. We did start to run out of paint on the interior of the transom, so next time I will be getting 3 quarts of this stuff. Look at that concentration.
Yeah.
Here are some before and after shots of what the boat looked like before we painted it, and then what it looks like now. I know there was a ton of information in this video, but you are almost completely brought up to the point of where we're at currently. The next video to come out is going to be the subfloor. This was the best subfloor I have ever put in a boat. It went extremely quick. That video is going to be dropping soon, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that little notification bell so you know when I upload another video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.